Welcome, ranchers. This is going to be part one of what I believe might be a three-parter, in that I have just a lot of information to share about what I'm going to call a mindful living or a mindful getaway that's needed now. A favorite church hymn of mine is entitled Turn Your Eyes Upon Jesus. Now, these lyrics have been repeating and repeating and repeating in my thoughts now for days. And it begins, and these are the lyrics that I hear the most, and I'd sing them to you if I could, but I can't. O soul, are you weary and troubled? No light in the darkness you see. Now, yes, the song goes on to direct my thoughts and my prayers to Jesus. However, I'm going to confess to you right now that often I want more than just a song. I want more than just lyrics. And I feel like I need to do something with my weariness. And that is when I turn to mindful living activities, which also incorporate prayer and reflection and the thoughts that are going around in my head. That's one of the reasons why I really have enjoyed pursuing the experience of mindful living, because it also works really well with whatever spiritual aspects that you believe in and practice in your life. A friend shared with me this past weekend. I try to collect articles and things to not only read for myself, but of course share with you. And it was an article from the publication Real Simple. And the article was entitled An At Home Wellness Sabbatical. It's exactly what we need right now, by Elizabeth Yuko, Yuko. And it was out on the 13th of November. And while the article was encouraging us to completely unplug from the world for a designated amount of time, I didn't feel that was really practical for me or perhaps for you, but I was able to grasp those nuggets, of great ideas that were not as drastic to me to obtain, like unplugging from everything for a certain amount of time, but that these nuggets could encourage my mindful living intention to sort of temporarily press the reset button. And best of all, when it comes to finding good strategies, provide self care, and specifically right now, self care for my weariness. In addition, I think that we all have some extra time perhaps during the holidays this year, as plans have changed due to the pandemic. And so I'm hoping that this increase of time, we might be able to each practice and schedule a mindful getaway for December and or January. So why am I choosing to talk about a mindful getaway right now? Well, I know you've heard either from Joy personally or her expression several times in ranch communications that we all here at the ranch are experiencing COVID fatigue. And it is our intention as leaders with the time off to be able to give to you as a way of being grateful time that you could use for yourself, use for things that can provide less stress, can provide you with some mindful activities. And at this point, it's an understatement to say that this pandemic, and I would call it a rather contentious election, has taken its toll on our mental well-being. Now, maybe for you it's this much toll, and maybe for somebody else it's off the charts, but it's taken its toll. And we know that the coronavirus alone has tripled rates of depression. Yes, my friends, depression in adults in the United States, with women affected at higher rates than men. Now, the solutions for dealing with stress typically do involve some form of self-care, ranging from everything from short couple of minute breathing breaks or taking a relaxing bath with a wonderful scented bar of soap, to a wellness retreat where you can be, where you can go and disconnect and have like this reset button to press. So the author of the article goes on to say that getting away from it all sounds great, but most people don't have either the time or the money to make a long sabbatical retreat a reality. You know, in my life, that would really be a privilege, and maybe for you too, and not necessarily an option for everyone. But for some, even the thought of going on a vacation, I know some folks have shared with me just trying to figure out what their plans are going to be for the holiday to get away. Well, it's bringing on more stress as they just think about all the ways that they might have to change plans from the past. And if you're like me, oftentimes when you're planning a vacation or a getaway, you immediately begin thinking about all the things and how you're going to be falling behind. And see, that gets me right away, so that when I start thinking about, well, if I do all this beforehand, and if afterwards I catch up like this, well, I justify and judge myself right out of the starting line that I shouldn't do anything. And I bet some of you have been here also. It just seems like it's more stressful to do something than to just plod along and keep trying to hang in there. So that's where a mindful getaway comes in rather than a sabbatical, which the term sabbatical usually means you are actually leaving work or leaving a situation for a certain set of time. And that's the way this article was presenting it, you know, actually schedule time away from work. I like to think of the mindful getaway. And on the surface, it may appear like the average wellness retreat, but I want to build it into our schedule alongside mindful strategies that we already might be doing, like breathing or using a meditation app, simple yoga stretches that I can do right here in the chair at my desk, and that we can still be at work, we can still be collecting a paycheck. We're not on a sabbatical. But these are little times of self-care that we incorporate, but we incorporate intentionally in that we're going to provide these mindful getaways for our own self-care. So again, it could be done at home if you prefer to have some time to yourself in the evening or on the weekends, or it can be done at work, or it can be done in both settings. But we're going to go through this for several weeks of what it would look like and how you can kind of pick from different options to make your getaway meet your needs. That's really important. You're not going to meet my needs, and I'm not going to create one for you that doesn't meet your needs. I'm going to give you some ideas of things that you can pick and choose from to have your own mindful getaway and hopefully help harness some of the stressors that we're experiencing right now. And so another reason that I could have mentioned earlier, I'm going to suggest that with this mindful getaway that we can stay in our budget. You know, we don't have to go out and buy a new exercise outfit or purchase an app to do new yoga, or come up with a place that we're going to go with the family and it's going to be a retreat. You might want to do that if it works into your budget, but what I'm thinking about is how we can make this time of self-care minimally invasive to our budget, our time, our family and friends, and quite honestly, into our life. So, my friends, for this week's pause, you only need to answer one question and do one small task for yourself. The question, are you weary and in need of a little self-care that perhaps a mindful getaway can provide? Now, if the answer is, you betcha, or if it's even a very small voice found deep within responding, yes, please, Then the small task is to create an intention. We've talked about this before, but in case you haven't been with us, an intention is to say, I am going to give this gift of self-care and healing to myself in the coming months. Sometime during January and February, I am going to figure out, by listening to Mindfulness with Marsha, what are the steps to have a mindful getaway. You, each and every one of you, deserve to take care of yourself now more than perhaps ever during the holidays in recent years. There's so much uncertainty and so much things that have changed and so many people that are hurting, whether it's in need of food or health or connections. So take some time. Are you weary? Are you ready to make an intention and say, yes, I'm going to try this for me? I promise you it's not going to take away your whole life or have your significant other or your kids wonder why you're not being attentive to their needs. You'll be able to work it into your life where you want to right now. So again, until next week, please stay safe and be well.